Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Good morning and welcome to the Sunday service. This morning we're going to meditate few minutes. After the meditation, our good friend Sai Maharjan, so I have to say Dr. Sai Maharjan. He just graduated his doctorate like a few weeks ago. So, Dr. Maharjan, congratulations again and welcome. And you can start your meditation right now, metta meditation. After that, you can give a Dhamma talk also.
Okay.
And make sure to keep very close the mic to your mouth. No, this one, yes.
Dear Bhante, Santi and Venerable monks and their friends in Dhamma. First of all, I want to wish Happy New Year to all the Asian friends, those who are celebrating New Year today. And I think most of the countries in South Asian region, they celebrate New Year. Also, it's a way to start with a good practice. So, as usual, I'm blessed to be here with you, spend some time practicing meditation, and also we talk about some of the Buddha's teaching that would bring meaningful light and also direction into our life. So before we talk about a topic that I wanted to share with you today, let's get ready to practice a brief relaxation and then loving kindness meditation. And those who are already seated, that's good. If you are not, then please rest your feet flat on the ground, and you can put your right palm on your left palm, gently touch the thumb to each other. And when you're ready, if you can, keep your back upright, not too tight. And you can lower your gaze when you're ready, and you can also gently close your eyes, just like when you do that before you go to sleep. As you keep your eyes closed, our mind continues to wander. It's a good way to take a deep breath to ground our wandering mind. Please take a deep breath, fill your lungs with fresh air. As you hold and gently release and exhale, relax your body. Let's take another deep breath and gently release and exhale. And one more deep breath and exhale. As you breathe out, you may notice it's less agitated mind. And a very good way to train our mind is by focusing on either on your nostril, tip of your nose. Continue breathing as normal, and you feel that gentle touch of air. To make it easy, you may pay attention to the temperature of the airflow. When you breathe in, you may notice slightly cold air passing through your nostril. Just notice it. And when you breathe out, it's slightly warmer air. Notice the sensation. Again, keep breathing in mindfully, noticing the sensation. Breathe out, noticing the sensation. Again, breathe in mindfully and breathe out mindfully. If you're able to contain your mind in this breathing process for a little bit, that helps to regulate our emotions. It helps to increase your awareness of your own body and your surrounding. And also it helps to engage in action with more intention rather than doing things in autopilot. So with this slightly better awareness, let's practice loving kindness for a few minutes. Loving kindness is another form of concentration meditation that Buddha prescribed for people, those who have strong emotions toward sometimes themselves. We're supposed to treat ourselves with love and kindness. However, due to busyness of life and the demand of life, we tend to forget to treat ourselves kindly. And also loving kindness is supposed to help us treat our loved ones with kindness and compassion. Again, due to our multifaceted responsibilities and lifestyle, we forget to treat our loved ones kindly with love. So whenever you feel that you have been less than loving, less than kind to yourself or others, you may choose to practice loving kindness for a few minutes. More often than not, loving kindness will help you to bring compassion and love for yourself and for others. Now, as you seated there with your eyes closed, with somewhat grounded mind and better awareness, let's engage in loving kindness. This is just like when you go to the gym and do some exercise for your body. Consider this is an exercise for your mind to get better and stronger at treating yourself with compassion and loving kindness. I want you to be intentional in this practice. You will repeat a few phrases, few sentences. You may whisper. If not, you can just repeat it in your mind. When you do it with intention. Do it on purpose. Do it as if you mean it. With that mindset, with that readiness of your mind and body, please repeat these words to show kindness and compassion toward yourself, and they will expand to your loved ones and all other human beings that you're in touch with, all non-human beings that you may have known, and also the entire world and the universe. Please repeat these lines. Again, you may whisper or you may just say it in your mind. Whichever you choose to do it with on purpose. May I be free from hatred. May I be free from ill will. May I be free from jealousy, anger, and aversion. May I treat myself with kindness and compassion. May no harm come to me. May no trouble come to me. May I be well, happy, and peaceful. Day in and day out, may I take care of myself happily. May I take care of myself with care and love. May I be well, happy, and peaceful. May I remain mindful of my action, my words, and my thoughts. May I be well, happy, and peaceful. May I be well, happy, and peaceful. Just like myself, my parents, my caregivers, my children, my teachers, all good friends and relatives in my life, may they be well, happy, and peaceful. May they be free from hatred, jealousy, and ill will. May no harm come to them. May no trouble come to them. May they all take care of themselves happily. May they be well, happy, and peaceful. May they all live in peace and harmony. Like myself and my family members and loved ones, all the people that I'm in touch with, all the people, those who are with or without good intention toward me, all human beings in this country and the entire world, all the living beings in this entire universe, whether they are large or small, near or far, born or unborn, all the living beings in the entire universe, may they be free from hatred. May they be free from ill will, jealousy, and anger. May they all take care of themselves happily. May no harm come to them. May no trouble come to them. May they all be well, happy, and peaceful. May they all live in peace and harmony. May they all live in peace and harmony. I forgive all of them, those who offended me. I let go of my grudges toward people, those who offended me. All of those who offended me intentionally or unintentionally, verbally, mentally, or physically. I forgive all of them. I forgive all of them. I forgive all of them. May they forgive those whom I offended, intentionally or unintentionally, mentally, verbally, or physically. May they all forgive my mistakes. May they all forgive my mistakes. May they all forgive my mistakes. May we all live in peace and harmony. Please continue to practice this kindness, loving kindness for the next couple of minutes. Continue to spread metta to yourself and beyond yourself.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you, Sai, leading the metta meditation. Uh, every month, second Sunday of every month, Sai is going to give a Dhamma talk here. I think he's giving Dhamma talk more than 15 years in our temple right now. Plus, he's giving a lot of Dhamma talk around the world, not only America. So we really appreciate about your help for our temple. So you can start your Dhamma talk now.
Thank you, Bhante. And thank you, Bhante, again. That's the honor is mine, and it's always a pleasure to come here, see my Dhamma brothers, my Bhantes, and spend little time talking about the Buddha's teaching. Like we practice loving kindness. As I was leading loving kindness, I don't know how you felt, but I really felt light in my heart. Because all the things that's happening in the country and around the world, makes it a little hard to breathe, right? Sometimes it's really heavy. Even you try so hard not to think about those ideas. You are influenced, you are affected by those factors. So that's where I was Buddhist monk for 16 years and I left. It's about now 7, 8 years. I left temple. Despite being such a long time has elapsed, I still find that shelter and sort of relief in practicing Buddhism, talking about Buddhism. So I'm glad that you're here today, trying to change, trying to get some insight in your life. So, I was on my drive. I was thinking about what would be a good topic today to discuss, and it came to my mind one of a famously known king, Pasenadi Kosala, King Kosala. He was very fond of the Buddha, and he would visit the Buddha very frequently to share his victory and also loss. So one day he just won a big battle, and he was super excited to share his victory with the Buddha. And when we approached the Buddha, and he was, of course, after you win a battle, excited to share his victory. And he was talking about it, and knowing the Buddha wanted to give him a piece of advice. The problem in too much rejoice in victory. So Buddha gave a Buddhist way of looking at it. Jayang verang pasawati, dukkhang seti parajayang. So if you win a battle, you harbor more hatred toward yourself from the people who lost, right? You gain more hating people in life. And dukkhang seti parajayang. If you lose, you harbor more suffering because you're sad about loss. So, and from Buddhist perspective, winning, you get more haters. Losing, you get more suffering. And Buddha said, upasanto sukhang seti, the one who give up both victory and loss seems to enjoy peace more longer. It's very different than how we see. And again, thinking about what's happening with the new administration, all the changes, we feel that sense of pressure or sense of loss in our life. And the Buddha's way of looking at it is, it's not just short time, but in long run, how can we maintain our peace? And one way to do is like abandoning both, the fight for victory and fight for loss. Of course, it doesn't make sense in many contexts, but if you are the Buddha's follower, your primary goal is to, how do I preserve my peace? And that's where I wanted to talk about. And I think one of the audience mentioned about, how this rebirth works. So just to connect that, because we talked about the karma a lot last time, I was sharing what kind of teaching should be influence our life. I wanted to talk about, how we continue to live in this life. And we go for victory or loss because of the main reason is ignorance. And in Buddhist term, it's called avidya. The lack of knowledge is, the vidya is knowledge or wisdom, and avidya means the lack of wisdom. So we continue to pursue this winning and losing battle because of our lack of awareness, wisdom about it. So if you look at our life, if you think of how we are leading our life, not many people come to realize the deep level of purpose. Most of the time we make decision on a surface level. We think of, like, this is one example it came to my mind when I asked my students what is the most precious thing they want in their life. Can you guess? What would be the student's answer? No guesses? Money. Thank you, John. Yeah, they would not hesitate to say money. And to me, young mind, and I'm sure a lot of, not just young mind, but many people think of money is everything. That's a very immediate, like a more impulsive way of thinking. That is the most valuable thing in life. But it takes a little bit of wisdom to go beyond that materialistic gain, right? So if you think of what is the better way of leading our life is not just the materialistic gaining, what happens in this flow? We are here because of some kind of karmic consequences. And we talk about this a lot. So if you think of how our life continued to unfold, some of us have a very good childhood, some of us may have not very good childhood. Despite those experiences, we continue to live. That's another important part. And a lot of the time, people tend to hold on to some of these life events too close. And I want to mention about the Buddhist way of looking at life is have that sense of impermanence. If you don't think of life from impermanent perspective, we forget where does this lead to. And the impermanence is, it's not just a scary thing. Now think of, you have a life that never ends. Your life continues for hundreds and hundreds of years. And you may lose joy in it because it's indefinite. There's no end to it. And life becomes meaningful when you see, oh, there is an end to it. And there is an expiration date to our life. And when you think of that, and not many people, now that's where all the religious teaching come handy, right? What happens after that? What happens to me after I die? And it's easy to give away the thought process and like, well, there is a eternal heaven, we're all going to go there. That's it. That's the place for our resort. But Buddhism doesn't give you that kind of answer. Buddhism gives you the responsibilities. Well, it's up to you. It's up to you whether you want to go to the heaven or not heaven, like hell. That's up to us. And that responsibility makes it a little hard. And that's why we have to think of how this life continues. We are born, and if you go to the beginning of our life, I mentioned some of us are born with a very good childhood and continue. Some of us are not born with such conditions. And that has to do with a type of action we engage in this life. And that's what I want to share with you. It's called garuka. It's the weighty karmas. Things that you do with full-heartedly. And that goes to wholesome actions. And to make it easy, wholesome actions, simple definition is you engage in things that is not harmful to yourself or others. Now you can name any action: generosity, charity, volunteer work, right? Teaching, and doing things that promote people's health, people's well-being. Those are all can be considered wholesome action. So people, those who engage in wholesome action, not just one day, for a long time, we call they have gained garuka karma. So the karma that's weighty, it's a very strong. And in Buddhist way of explaining, of course, you have offered the Astapariskara. You have been the host of the Katina, big events. You have built bathrooms and toilets for temple. You have renovated temple. You have supported monks. Those actions are considered weighty karma. And there's also flip side. There's the unwholesome weighty karmas. If you have engaged in, of course, killing some human beings, because Buddhism values human life very much. And unfortunately, when I see some people, doesn't matter whether you're in the United States or in Nepal and Sri Lanka, you're born as human, but the life is wasted. Life is not directed toward the right direction. Sometimes people develop addiction, people develop habits that takes their life down. So the human life is wasted. So human life has so much potential to the point you can become a Buddha. So to become a Buddha, you need to be a human being. So human being has such a potential, and Buddha showed that if you do things that hurt human life, that is extremely bad karma. And the other more scary examples in Buddhism, we as Buddhists, Theravada Buddhists, we try to warn is that murdering your own parents is one of the weightiest bad karma. So you engage in that kind of behavior, or hurting monks or enlightened ones, those are considered weighty bad karma. So think of those are heavy karma that can influence your next life. And if you know them, and I like the example I shared the other day, if you know the fireball is hot, you would be very cautious to touch. If you don't know that fireball is hot, you would hurt yourself by touching. So knowing these good and bad ethical decisions makes our life a little easy. So when you engage in wholesome karma, you're preparing yourself for a better next life. That's one. Let's say you did not do any of those good karma. Now that is not the end of the world. There's another set of karma Buddha has talked about is asana. Now that's where as Buddhists we promote, if you have heard of, whether it is Mahayana or Theravada, when somebody is in their sick bed, they invite monks to chant and listen to the Dhamma talk. Or sometime there in Sri Lanka there is a tradition, you have a book of your good deeds. In Sinhala you call Pimpota. This is the book of merit. You should have one. So if you don't have one, start a Pimpota, which is a book of merit. And this is not like I'm trying to make fun of, but people even in the Buddha's time or later, they read these books because they want to remind themselves of things that they have done it right. Right? The king Dudugamunu, right? He was in his sick bed and he asked his minister to read the book that he has recorded all the good deeds that he has done. We need a reminder because we're very forgetful. So that helps us to think of those times, like going to temple, meeting monks, offering, doing things that really uplifted your mind. Now that's considered asana. So close to your death, you want to remind yourself of deeds that has been meaningful. That's wholesome. That sets a better stage for a better life after this. And let's say you haven't done both of them. And there's sometimes important karma is called achinna. Achinna means habitual karma. So this could be what you're doing. I've seen a few faces here. Mr. Nam, pretty much all my 15 years or 12 years of trip here, I've seen. So when you do some kind of action, it's habitual. You have done this on a regular basis. It's not a big karma. It's not a grandiose action, but you do it as a ritual. And that's where I find the Buddhist rituals meaningful. For example, then every Buddhist ritual has meaning if you do it with intention. Look at, behind me, I can't see, but if you look at the candle, when you light a candle, there is a Pali saying, right? When you light a candle, you light this candle or the oil lamp with this intention. May this light bring wisdom in my life, just like the light kills darkness. So you have that intention. I'm not lighting candle because I want to go to, I want to land with a fortune. No, it's a wish that you make to ourselves. And if you offer flower, you don't offer flower because it's pretty. You offer flower because flower is a reminder of impermanence. The flower is beautiful, blossom, colorful now. By midday, it will start to decay. So is my life. And that's what I want to be mindful of. Right? Same way, you offer a drink or a medicine, you think of my action. So when you engage in these activities, and that's where, if you go to Sri Lanka, very commonly seen practice is children, very young, 3-4 years old, very young, they're taught to offer flower, offer light candles, or bow to a monk. And it's not done for the sake of ritual. You're trying to establish a habit that can save your life at the end of this journey. So the habitual karma can be meaningful. And if you don't have one, what we just did at the beginning, practicing loving kindness meditation. My teacher, Venerable Kodagutta Dhamma, he lived, I think, I want to say 89 when he passed away. And he is my mentor for that 16 years time. One thing he told me, stuck with me, he was known as a very soft-spoken monk. And Bhantes can tell you more. He is a most renowned speaker in Sri Lanka. One thing he told me every morning, he wakes up at 5 and he spends 30 minutes in his bed before he gets off the bed. What he did for about 55 years of his life was that 30 minutes he practiced loving kindness. Before he get off the bed, he would practice loving kindness religiously every day. And he did not have a good start in the temple that where he was. It was a very rough population, the community was very rough, and he didn't have many support. He practiced loving kindness for 55 years. And he told me, you should have some kind of habit that will be part of you, that becomes your identity. And I don't have that psychic power to show the connection between 55 years of loving kindness and what he gained. But if you learn about him, you would realize how powerful was that. He worked with, I think, all 5 presidents in Sri Lanka. Everybody loved him, despite the parties, despite which side of the government come to power. He had that influence. And people who come to him, it doesn't matter how strong opinion they were, there was a lawsuit happening against him. And the person who filed the lawsuit came to him with so much grace, so much gentleness, rather than having all the anger. So loving kindness have power. And Buddha spoke about the benefits of loving kindness. And one of the most enticing loving kindness, you will be handsome and you will be prettier. So you should start practicing loving kindness. Mukhavanna vipasidati, that's one of the benefits. And you will be loved by other people. And thinking of those, and I'm trying to tell you, develop a habit that you'll be proud of, that would save you in this journey. So that's called achinna, your habit that is either it's loving kindness practice, a few minutes of meditation. It should be habitual. It should be done on daily basis without any expectation. You're not trying to change anything, but just it becomes a part of you. And when those kind of karma exist, at the end of our life, this is, and from Buddhist point of view, we are in this like a our consciousness continue to support one after another. There's a chain. At the end, we call chuti chitta. That's the last consciousness we will have. And that last consciousness looks for the root or to hold on to a karma to give a new life. And at that last consciousness, or the other term is like exiting consciousness, will take base either in the weighty karma that you have done, whether it is the wholesome or unwholesome, or the habitual karma you've done, or the very proximate karma that you do. So one of those karma will be the base for next life. And based on that karma, now this is why Buddhism gives each person responsibility. We don't talk about the savior, God or savior. The Buddha is there keeping his book, like, okay, how many good karma you did. There is nobody like such in Buddhism. You yourself should know how much good and not good karma you have done. That becomes the root. And that comes to your consciousness. It's almost like in Buddhism we talk about what happens at the close to the death, where our life replays all the actions that we have done. And these highlight actions will be the root. And based on that root, it will start a new life. That's called patisandhi. That's the life connecting consciousness starts. Now, in between, I hope you're trying to grasp the idea, right? In between this the karma that you have done is meaningful. Can you change it? Yes. You still have power to change. And there are a lot of examples I can give you. One of them is Venerable Angulimala's story. The entire life, most of his life, not entire life, most of his life he was misguided. And he murdered hundreds and hundreds of people in this very life. And he was awakened. He realized, like, okay, I'm doing this, I'm after this revenge because of a misdirection of my teacher. I'm going to change this. I'm going to change my course of action. And he became monk. He continued to suffer from some kind of a mistreat. Of course, if you're in a town and you've been murdering a bunch of people and you become monk, that doesn't change. People will continue to throw stones and sticks at you. And that's what happened to Angulimal Bante. He continued to come back to temple bleeding because people, those who lost their family, they would mistreat him. They would try to hurt him. He came back to temple. He continued to remain monk. He became enlightened. So even you have done, and I'm not encouraging you to change such a drastically, but if you have not done anything meaningful, you can choose one. You can choose an action that will change that last moment of your life. And if you have not started one, I encourage you start your book of merit. Start writing down These days you can do in many forms and make that a guidance. And in the reflection on those, your own action will change. You will have a better approach to life. And hopefully in all this change in your action, thinking about life and then life after this, hopefully in this very life, in this life you are in, that our ego becomes more malleable. That's another big problem. So I'm not going to get into that topic, but I would like to talk about ego. When I say ego, it's like Atma, like your sense of self. That is a big problem. We tend to look at that sense of self from the surface level, just like my students. When I ask what is the most important thing to you in life, you think money. That's very surface level thinking. If you go beyond, then you realize, oh, my sense of self is just the interaction between what I do and what I think. That's where the self comes. If you look at a little child, they don't have a name. You call that child whatever name you like. They will own it. There was no name attached to a child when they were born, but you can teach them to identify as this is so and so. And that's how I am Sailesh, and that's why John is like, Russell. So you got that name because a lot of people told you you are such and such person. So we don't have that ego, but our interaction, our action gives that sense of ego. Unfortunately, people hold on to that ego very strong. That becomes your identity. I am the master. I am I know everything. I am always right. That sense of ego becomes so powerful. We are at the surface level. We never go beyond that. So we'll talk about that next time. So I encourage you to start some kind of habit that becomes part of you, that becomes the light that guides you in this life and next life. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. If you have any question and comment, you can have. Yes.
Go ahead. I really don't know where to start. It's just a comment. It's not a question, really. Please forgive me. I can't believe this is happening, but it is happening. Okay.
You're good. Okay. What's your name?
I'm good. I'm okay. Thank you. I've taken life, a lot of life.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a soldier.
Mm-hmm.
Please don't say anything. Don't make any noises. It's distracting me. I don't have that karma. I've been forgiven by Jesus. All my sins are forgiven. I start a new life every day. And Jesus God has spoken to me and said, go to Buddha for a while and find some peace. Because Christianity is a nightmare. It's all stuck in buildings and churches and hierarchy and popes and money. So Buddha's not. Buddha's right here in a home, in a beautiful neighborhood. And I'm here. So I'm sorry, I don't mean to correct you. I don't have that karma. There is an exception to that. There's armies, there's wars. There's going to be a lot more, and a lot of life going to be taken, unless you want yours to be taken. Which I kind of do because I want to get off this planet. It's wrong. It's gone wrong. This planet, this universe is beyond repair. So, karma, I don't understand. Mother Teresa was walking down the street and somebody spit in her face. What did she do to deserve that bad karma? She was Mother Teresa. There's no karma. There's no karma. That's just man-made. What did Mother Teresa do to get spit on? Not just once. But, I'm sorry. I just
Thank you, sir. Thank you, your idea. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're very welcome. Thank you.
Yes.
Yes.
I feel like a lot of Westerners think their ego is so driven to receive that merit. They're doing the good deeds to receive oh, I did this good. I'm doing this because I want the good karma instead of just being doing it for just doing something good.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And I think think of this, like you eat a nice, serving of meal, and you don't need to tell anybody, oh, I ate very good serving of meal, I'm going to be full now, right? You have to tell it. You eat, you get full. So if you eat it, there is no necessary of talking about what you ate. The natural consequence of eating is you get full. So just like that, when you do good karma, whether it is generosity or practice precepts or meditate, when you engage in those action, that merit is byproduct of your action. Whether you wish for it or not, it will happen. And that is a surface level of engaging in good karma, right? Good deed. You don't have to say or do. To get to the little deeper level is you engage in those deeds to improve who you are. For example, when people give, a lot of the time they give because they want fame, they want to be acknowledged, they want to be known by other individuals. That's good. You don't have to. People will know you if you engage in good action. But practice of giving should be, I'm letting go of something so I don't feel attachment to those, whatever I gave. Now that is the deeper level of giving. Like a practicing precepts, the same way. I'm practicing, I don't need to tell other people, I don't kill, I don't hurt, I don't engage in sexual misconduct. Well, you don't have to. What does that do? When I sit down and meditate, I feel more calm. My mind is more composed because the precepts, practicing precepts helps to deepen your meditation. And when you practice meditation, it's not to tell people that I meditate, I'm a mindfulness master, I'm a mindfulness meditator. When you practice, you get that experiential knowledge. I don't like to say the word, you see, but you experientially see impermanence. You start noticing, I know what does this impermanent means when I meditate. I can tell I have pain and I can watch that pain arising and passing away. So that is taking your good deed to next level rather than making it another bragging right. Yeah, it's not just Westerners. I've been here for over a decade now. It's a pretty much human nature. We all like to say and boast about what we did, and that's not necessary action. If you're really into Buddhism and you're trying to make the most out of it, it's can you take from that surface level to next level? Can you give to practice detachment, right? So that's where practice becomes more meaningful. Yes, Anand.
Sai, there's a story in the Mahaparinibbana Sutta where Ajatasattu wants to conquer one of the kingdoms. He sends his minister, and the Buddha tells him as long as these people, the Lichavis, follow these themes, they will never be conquered. And then the minister, he interpreted it like, you're right, they'll never be conquered, so I'm going to have to go into some propaganda and like disunite them.
That's right.
So it was like people will only hear what they want to hear. So I wanted to ask you something about like the soul and about consciousness and about rebirth. A lot of people think that like the soul is something that's being reborn, and they'll think that the soul is in the consciousness. So how would you explain to someone that the consciousness, that state of consciousness that leads to the next birth is nothing like a soul found?
Well, that's become a little more than it's just an answer. Soul is, again, like I was saying earlier, think of like, here's a better example. It's in Los Angeles. So think of a movie, right? You watch movie nowadays it's digital, but old time there used to be a reel, right? If you look at the reel, what you see is thousands of frames, right? But when you play it in some kind of a setting, it looks like a person is moving. All the action happens. But if you slow down, what you see is individual frame. Does that make sense? Right? It's individual frame. And if you start to believe that motion creates a being and you start to tell, oh, there is actual person moving, that's what soul. That's how people see soul. When you see this speed of things changing, you start noticing, oh, there is an actual person. But if you can really slow down, there's no person in there. It's actually the reaction between our mind and our body, how we call it karma, nama rupa, right? How we interact. And so Buddha has given this. I'll share this one, and hopefully we can talk about this more later. Buddha gave this explanation. Think of like you start to believe what you see as soul. That's better because there's actual images, right? You can believe that smell is the soul. Why? Because there's actual smell in stuff. So in that way, you can take all these sensory data as soul. That is much better than believing in the soul, which is mind-made. Our mind creates the idea of self. If you take all the ideas out, there is no such thing. Our mind exists based on our sensory experience, right? All the memories that you have, it's not like a mind has its own. It is created because of our senses. Our sense experience beauty or not beauty. Our senses experience taste, not taste. So we remember those experiences, and later we talk about, oh, I ate. So the I comes because of the sensory experience. When you take all the senses experience out, there is no such thing to call I, because I is solely an interpreter of what you experience through the senses. Does that help? So that's where this idea of soul is based on other senses. When you take other senses out, what is this? The concept of I or soul. It doesn't have a purpose. To make this meaningful, you need to have our senses. As soon as you take the senses out, there is no such idea as I or me. Think of a car, think of a computer. You take all the parts away, the idea of computer, there is no one piece in the computer you call computer. It's made of screen, keyboard, hard drive, whatever pieces that's there. All them together comes the idea of computer. Same thing with car. Wheels, windows, seats, they all come together, you get the idea of a car. But you take the pieces away, you cannot find car there. And if you look at each piece, yeah, it's a part of car, but there is no such thing called car. So the idea of me and I, the soul, is based on other parts. As soon as you take other parts away, the idea of soul doesn't exist. And there is no way you see that this will travel. It's only the reassemblance of these pieces. You take a computer and turn it into a video game. Now it's a video game. So same thing with our life. Your sensory experience, your karmic, good and bad karmic forces, it is dissolved here and it starts a new journey. So that's where you don't need soul, at least from the Buddhist point of view, to start a new life. Again, we can talk more about that topic. But for that, I cannot just talk. I'll give you a chapter, at least 5 chapters to read, so we can have a discussion, if you're down for it. Because I want you to read a little bit so we can have a meaningful conversation. Otherwise, it'll be a little hard to have you on board in 20 minutes talk. But thank you, Ananda, for the question.
Yeah, thank you. And I look forward to hearing what those chapters are.
Okay.
Thank you. Russell, yes.
Yes, thank you. Especially for explaining the three types of, karma, you said the heavy and then
The habitual and proximate.
yeah, what
So proximate is like something people tend to do, remember when they do at the close of their death. So when you're close to die, so people read the book of merit, or they invite monks to chant, or listen to some Buddhist stories. There are times that the moment of death, when they have a positive or wholesome thoughts, it helps them to avoid unnecessary, more like a troublesome life after.
Okay, because like in the West, a lot of us read that book, the Tibetan Book of the Dead,
Mm-hmm.
and then they talk about each action is kind of a precursor to whatever's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be kind of careful.
Yes.
Or at least more mindful of what you're doing.
Yes.
The next step might be,
Yeah, if in the absence of those, then yes, then any of your, like the I didn't mention about another one, in there are four actually. So Garuka, Asana, Ajina, Katatta. Katatta is miscellaneous. Some people have not done anything meaningful in life, good or bad, just like a very unknown life, and there those miscellaneous karma will be the root for next beginning of life.
Is there any text that explains those four?
Yes, yes. You go to, yeah, I can give you the textbook. It's a rewritten, revised version of the manual of Abhidhamma. So if you look at the chapter on karma, vibhanga, then you will see all this breakdown and detail. Yeah.
All right, thank you again for everybody. We will chant the page 4 and page 10. Namo tassa
Bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang saranang gacchami. Dhammang saranang gacchami. Sanghang saranang gacchami.
Sentient beings are numberless. I vow to save them all. Deluding passions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them all. Dhamma gates are limitless. I vow to study them all. Buddha's way is supreme. I vow to attain it. May suffering ones be suffering free, and the fierce-like fearless be. May the grieving shallow grief, and the sick find health relief.